Hey y'all, and welcome to The Wannabe Author. I'm Taryn, a writer figuring out how to turn my publishing dream into reality, one chaotic step at a time. This is the place where we talk books, writing struggles, mental health, and everything in between. Whether you're a writer, a reader, or just curious about the process, I am so glad you're here. Let's jump in. Hey y'all, and welcome back to The Wannabe Author. I'm your host, Taryn Christine, and today we are joined by a very special guest. Today's guest is an author whose debut releases March 18th. She's a self-published author, and we will dive into her journey to publication, the inspiration behind her book, and what it's really like leading up to a debut release. Her novel, The New York Charm, is a swoon-worthy second-chance romance set against the vibrant backdrop of New York City. It follows Dylan Jenkins, who thought she left her past behind until she ends up on a flight sitting next to Parker Townsend, her ex and first love. As fate or bad luck would have it, Parker is now the editor of the debut author Dylan is assigned to promote, forcing them to work together in a city built on second chances. But with old wounds still fresh and undeniable sparks reigniting, Dylan has to decide, is their love story ready for a new chapter, or is history just repeating itself? I cannot wait for y'all to hear her insight into writing, publishing, and of course, this incredible book. It is my absolute honor to introduce you all to my friend and author, Riley Winters.
All right. Hi, Riley. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. You look fantastic today.
Thank you so much. So do you.
Thank you. Just to preface for everybody, I can't see Riley. The video thing's not working, but it's recording all right, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
And
So I'm just talking to myself here.
you know, you don't need to see me anyways. It's fine. I did
I
my best. But
Well, I bet you look fantastic, as always.
oh, thanks.
All right. It's so good to have you here, especially with all the craziness happening for you. I'm so excited. But we'll get into all the things regarding your book, release, and all of that. But first, I like to start out with talking about our current reads. Do you want to go ahead and talk about your current read first?
This is really depressing, but I'm really not. I am reading something, but I'm also not reading something at the same time because I simply don't have time to read right now.
I get that.
Because things have been a little chaotic this last week, but I'm reading Promise Me Sunshine. I think that's what it's called, by Cara Bastone.
Okay.
It's an arc. It comes out
Oh,
next week, I believe.
that's exciting.
And she's the one that wrote, oh, what's it called? I have it on my shelves, but I don't. Ready or Not, that everyone really likes.
Okay. Yeah.
I haven't read it, but I got the arc for this, and so I'm reading that, and I'm only a whopping 2 chapters in, so I wish I could tell you more about it, but I genuinely know nothing.
Yeah.
Is this like hurting your head?
They're falling off. My head's too oily.
This is chaos. We're falling apart at the seams, and we haven't even gotten started.
I'm just glad it's you, a good friend.
What do you mean? You don't want to do this in front of, like, just, a hardcore professional? I'm a hardcore professional, so I'm judging.
You're definitely a hardcore professional, but
No, I'm not.
We have history, so it's okay.
No, I'm not.
Forgive me.
I'm not a hardcore professional in the slightest.
Whatever. Well, I love that arc. I haven't gotten to read Ready or Not yet, but I'll have to.
What are you reading?
So, I currently have lost myself in books because I have time right now.
Fair.
I currently, physically, I am reading Never by Jessa Hastings.
How are you liking it?
I just have barely gotten into it, and
Okay.
like I like it because I love her writing. Everything she writes is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
I don't think I was prepared for the Peter Pan being very boyish.
Okay. Yeah. That's fair. I I I have it, and I like Magnolia Parks is one of my favorite series of all times. But like
Yes.
for whatever reason, so I bought that one and I was like so excited to read it when it came out, and then I haven't touched it, and I don't know why.
Um,
So you'll have to tell me
I
what you think.
I was the same way. It took me a while to open it, but I kept looking at it and like, oh, it's such a pretty book, and I love that author.
Yup.
I finally opened it up, and I'm loving it. Like the little world she's built with Neverland and everything, it's so cute. I just wasn't prepared for how she wrote Peter Pan, but I'm starting to like it more.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Love that.
But that physically, and then I'm listening to All Roads Lead Here by Mariana Zapata.
Great
Have you
slow
read that?
burn. Age gap.
Oh,
Yep. I
oh
have.
yeah, he's hot.
Hmm.
And then what else? Oh, The Spark of the Everflame by Penn. I'm also listening to.
I want to start that. How do you feel about that one? I have seen so much hype about it and I want to read it, but that's another one that I'm a little nervous to read. I don't know why.
Um, I've liked it a lot. She's really good about I don't know. It feels like at home because it's a lot of the things we know, but it's
Okay.
very unique, if that makes sense.
Yes. Love.
So I feel like same kind of worlds that we know and love, but it has its own unique twist where I still need to learn the world, and I love the FMC. So,
Yes. Love. Okay.
but yeah, so far loving it. Okay, ready to dive in?
I guess. As ready as
So,
I'll ever be.
same. With you've had a crazy week just this week, but this episode is releasing literally days before the release of your book. How does it feel knowing your debut book is about to be out in the world? Or I guess it is making its way out in the world currently with ARCs, huh?
Yeah. So it's been actually chaotic. It's been a whirlwind of emotions, and like I know that sounds so cliche, but like it's genuinely been such a roller coaster. It's all been good, but because it's all been good, I want to throw up. and, and like I just have like a pit in my stomach pretty much 24/7. But like it's a good pit in my stomach. Um it's just been like it's honestly so surreal. I feel like is the best word to describe it. Like sometimes it feels like an out of body experience.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just been crazy. And I like kind of have to keep pinching myself and reminding myself that like this is actually happening.
No, it's so cool. It's been so fun seeing people reading it within a day and then posting all about it. I'm like I'm fangirling
No,
hard.
it's actually nuts. Well, because when I feel like when you put arcs out, you kind of expect like some buzz, like some excitement, but I put them out about exactly a month out from the release date because I wanted to
Yeah.
give everyone enough time to read it. But because of that, like I kind of expected there to be like a slow start and have people like read it closer because I'm a reader like through and through, so I am so bad at reading arcs. Like I'll go to like the deadline. I'm like, oh, I've got a week to get this read. Like I need to do it now, not because I
Hmm.
don't want to, but just because there's 800 other books. And so, especially for me as like an indie author, I'm sitting here thinking like, okay, I'm giving everyone a month. That's plenty of time. Like everyone's TBR is just like 800 miles long. So they'll get to it when they get to it. And then literally I'm getting message after message being like, I'm starting the book today, or I devoured it in one night. I'm like, hold on here. What do you mean? It's insane.
Hold your horses. What?
It's like, I had just assumed that everyone would do exactly what I would do if I were in their shoes and like wait. But no,
Yeah.
everyone's like, bet I'm gonna read it right this second, and then I'm gonna finish it in like 2 hours, and then I'm gonna message you, which is insanity.
Oh, it's so cool. Like what a community you have built yourself where people are so just excited to support you and to read your book and then just rave about it. The posts have been so fun and so unique and creative.
No,
I love it.
literally, like every time I get tagged in something and then I'll like go and look at it, I'm like, wow, I'm really terrible at this like whole social media thing because everything that everyone else is doing is like absurdly cute. I'm like, oh, okay. So everything you're doing is better than what I'm doing. I need to step my game up.
Hey, they're just doing it for you. You're like, oh,
I,
I'll just
yeah, right? I'm just gonna
repost that.
outsource it. You guys got this covered.
There you go. A book that sells itself. I think, like, obviously, you're killing it. That's so exciting.
Thank you.
Okay, I need to fix these stupid headphones.
Oh my god, I feel like it's okay. I feel like I look like I have mascara down my face. I don't, but for whatever reason, all I can see in the camera is like smudges under my eyes. I'm like, oh,
No, I bet you look great.
thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And every time I move my chair, I'm like, I've got the chair position so that like I'm trying to block some of the like sun with my head and the
Hmm.
chair, and I feel like it's just not working. So I'm like, I feel like I'm like constantly like tweaking myself. It's really bright. Like, I wish you could see the entire left side of my screen is just like a sunburst. Hold on, I'm actually gonna. I need to fix this because this is just driving me nuts. Like, I
You know
don't care.
what I'm imagining is Ariel when she's over Eric and the sun.
No, that's literally. I look like a floating head in the middle of just pure whiteness. Like, it's not. Except for now, I can't turn the light on because that's just going to confuse everybody that's involved. They're going to be watching this and they're going to be like, what the hell is going on?
Oh, I'm not deleting any of this.
Like, 1 minute, I'm like covered in whiteness. The next, it's like pitch black. I'm just going to leave it alone. I'm leaving it alone. I'm done touching it. I give up. So,
Oh,
sorry in advance for the video quality that you cannot see right now. I'm trying
oh,
my
thank you.
best.
No, you're fine. Thank you for working with me on this.
I'm having a great time so far, so.
Oh, good. Me too. Oh, my mouth hurts. I mean, yeah, my mouth hurts.
Wait a second.
Yeah. I'm like, wait, is that dirty? What?
I didn't
Okay.
take it. I didn't take it that way until you said
Okay.
it like that. Okay,
This is
back to
where my mic
business.
goes. I know. Okay. Okay, fun question about the New York Term, your book.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to describe it in 3 words, what would your 3 words be?
Nostalgic, playful, tender-hearted.
Oh, okay. So everyone needs to read this because
I
that
hope.
those are good.
I hope those are good ones.
Those are really good. All right. Where did the idea for the New York Term come from?
Ah, I hate giving a man too much power, but I was in a serious relationship for about 5 years, on and off. And I was one of those people that I said that I was going to write a book. Like, I kept being like, my goal is to be an author. Like, I want to be a writer. That's my, like, ultimate dream. And I
Mhm.
never did it. And the relationship was extremely toxic. And we finally ended it. But of course, as one does, the heart wants what the heart wants. And I wanted to get back together like you always do, even though I knew better. And so the idea of second chance romance kind of just sparked from there. even though I am not typically a second chance romance reader, it's not a trope that I typically gravitate towards. But just at that stage in my life when I was just so hopeful that we were going to have that like romance novel worthy, like rekindling, that
Hmm.
kind of sparked it. And then from there, it kind of just like snowballed. I always loved one of my favorite books is Book Lovers by Emily Henry.
Okay.
And the idea of having the character be in like the publishing, editing world. And so that's kind of where Parker was created. And then honestly, Dylan is pretty much myself. I wrote a lot of her is me. And so I kind of just put the two together and knew that I wanted like a big city setting. I love New York. I love visiting the city. It's something entirely different than the desert here at home. And so being able to kind of write myself into that world just seemed like a no-brainer. And
Yeah.
once I kind of had like the rough idea, it kind of just domino effect and everything just kind of clicked into place.
I love that. Especially learning that how personal books can be. I feel like that just gives it that much more of meaning when you read it, because obviously it's going to be great, but having that part of the author in it and knowing it's there, I love it. I love
Yeah.
it.
Well, and I try not to put too much of myself. There's a lot of Dylan in me, but I've also learning as I write more, like I'm kind of injecting little pieces of myself into everyone that I write, even if it's just like it could be the smallest things down to, their favorite song or the perfume they
Mhm.
wear or something. Like it's so fun to have to create this world and inject little pieces of yourself into them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What's okay, so without, I guess, getting too spoilery, but do you have a moment in the book that you're most excited for readers to experience?
Okay, my favorite moment I cannot say because it is a spoiler, but
Okay.
I will say this: the one of my favorite things as a reader is when you're reading and you hit the point where there's the reference of the title, or you understand why the book is titled the way that it's titled, and that's exactly there is a moment in the New York Charm where you find out why it's called the New York Charm. And it's this huge, like, pivotal scene in the book. And I love it so freaking much. And I cannot wait for people to read it.
Oh, I love that. I think that's my favorite part, like what you were saying, is learning that there's a meaning to the title in the book.
I
Ugh.
love it so much. Like, and when I first started writing, I didn't know if that was something I was going to do. And then it kind of just happened. And I feel like that was lucky for me. I'm currently writing more and I'm still waiting for that moment to happen this time around. Um, but I don't know. It's just like sitting down and writing that scene when you're literally sitting there typing and you're like, oh yeah, like people are gonna love this. Like they're gonna hit this point and they're gonna get so stoked because I do. And I can't wait to have people have that like light bulb moment.
Hmm. Have any of your ARC readers, have they reached out to you? I don't know how close you are to any of your ARC readers, but have they reached out and been like, "Oh my gosh," for
Yes.
that one moment?
Yes. Again, it's just such a pivotal turning point in the story that like is just and it's honestly one of the most romantic moments in the book. So yeah, I've had a couple people reach out and tell me how much they love that scene.
Oh,
Yeah.
that my heart. Okay. So you might have just answered the question that you might have just answered this question. Did any scene make you emotional while writing, whether from tears or laughter?
Yes. So I didn't cry. There were definitely moments though where I was giggling and kicking my feet. And there's also a specific character. I love this book, but there's a specific character in that book um, that I giggled the entire time I was writing any of his lines. So, but nothing, I didn't cry. I only cried when I had actually like finished the book. That was like a monumental moment where I cried, but no tears on the storyline.
Okay. Okay. Love. Love. Okay. So w getting into the more personal side of writing the book, what's something you learned about yourself while writing it, if
This,
anything?
yeah, no. So this is actually a great question. I feel like it's probably going to sound silly, but the thing for me that I learned the most was that I'm not lazy. And what I mean is, like, growing up, I never felt like called to climb the corporate ladder. I never felt like I feel like you heard about people who were very much workaholics. Like they would sit and they would be like working from sun up to sundown and like they eat, breathed everything work. And I never understood it because I realized once I started writing that that's what I was waiting for. And that's where the workaholic in me has come out. So I would be working, 9 to 5, and then I would come home and I would just sit and I would write headphones on, like tuned out for the world for hours. And it was like one of those things that I realized it really was like a light bulb moment for me in the sense of like, okay, no, this is what you're supposed to be doing. You just hadn't found what you were passionate about until that very moment. And then once you did it, it's become all consuming in the way that other people find their work all consuming. But the plus side is of this is that it doesn't make me miserable like I feel like work makes other people. Like I could do this from the minute that I wake up to the minute I go to sleep, and I would never, I mean, knock on wood, never get tired of it. Yet. I'm speaking as someone that's literally only written one book. I understand it'll probably change at some point, but I just, it felt like such a profound moment of, yeah, no, this is your calling and this is your calling for a reason.
Stop. I love that so much. That's like so perfect. And oh yeah, I love that for you. Okay. What we're gonna get more into because you're a self-published author, you're going to be a self-published author,
Mm-hmm.
and self-publishing, it's become a bigger thing, so people are very curious about behind the scenes. So I'd love to know what made you decide to self-publish.
Yeah. So funny enough, I started my TikTok page about a year and a half ago. And my whole mindset behind creating the TikTok page was it's much easier to market a product when you have an interested audience. So that was my sole focus going into it. At the time, I hadn't even started taking writing seriously yet, but I knew that it was something that I wanted to do. So I basically created a Booktok account where I talked about my love for reading and everything. And I ended up creating this community or finding this community that like I would have never imagined in a million years. And I feel like Booktok sometimes gets a bad rap for being very dramatic and all of those things. But I have been very fortunate in my little corner of the internet to not really have run into that. And everyone has just been so unbelievably supportive. So I started with creating like normal book related content, and then I slowly started sharing like writing content, writing blogs when I started taking it a little bit more seriously. And the support that I received was far beyond anything I could have ever imagined. And when I had started writing the New York Charm, I had every intention, every single intention of querying, going down like the traditional route. Like self-publishing was not on my radar. I
Mhm.
also didn't realize how often it's done. I didn't realize, I knew nothing about it, to be honest. So it wasn't even a thought. I just assumed that I would do it the old school way and like try to get it traditionally published. And I remember after I had finished my first draft, the idea slowly started to roll around in my head, but it still wasn't something that I was overly interested in. And then one night, I remember I was sitting on live on TikTok and I was just like talking to people, and everyone was like, Riley, like, when is this book coming out? Like, we genuinely want it so bad. And I was just like, why why am I going down that road? Like, why do I want to start querying and all of that when, like, I already have an interested audience? Like, I have what I signed up for TikTok for, like, for. I already
Mhm.
created it. I already had a community that wanted to back me and, like, buy this book, like, today. And so I threw out the idea of querying. I didn't send a single query email. Like, I did nothing. That night, I decided, I was like, you know what? I have this momentum. I'm going to chase it. I am just going to see it through and I'm going to do it myself. And I'm just manifesting now publishers coming to me versus me chasing down publishers.
That's a good move.
Like, I'm like, here's the thing. I probably am not going to pitch myself well enough anyway. So I'm just going to let the audience that I have created, if they love this book, I'm going to let them do the pitch work for me.
Mhm.
Work
That is the
harder, work harder, not smarter. Smarter, not harder. I swear I know what
I
I'm
understood you.
talking. I swear I'm decent with words sometimes.
Yeah, I feel like all of the smartness of words goes out on the paper, so then when we're talking, it's, just
Yep.
use all the
Nope.
smartness there.
Yep. Any brain
Same,
power I've ever had ever is on my laptop in a Google document, not up in my brain.
same, same. No, I think that is the beauty of book talk and self-publishing is, and I actually heard an interview where they were talking about this, is it has completely changed the game regarding publishing because no longer are publishers deciding, oh, this is what people are going to read. People are now deciding, oh, this is what we want to read. So mass produce it, you know?
Yes, absolutely.
It's,
Well, and some of the biggest names now that like you hear, like I have since decided like I want to do go down this route. I have kind of gone into it a little bit further and like done my research and like there's I mean Lila Sage literally indie published, Elsie Silver at one point indie published. Like there are so many big time authors out there that did it themselves and look where it's led them. And I am on author threads and all of that. And the amount of indie authors I see on there that are announcing that their books are getting picked up by publishers and like republished, like it's consistent. It happens constantly because, like you said, the readers are now saying, no, this is what we're interested in. And the publishers are saying, okay, like we're going to listen to you versus the other way around, which I think is absolutely incredible.
oh, it's awesome. It's so cool to see. That's why book talk can never go away.
No, I would cry. I have cried already, and I will probably shed more tears about it if it actually does ever pan out.
Oh, I will riot. Okay, what's one thing about self-publishing you wish more people knew?
I think the biggest thing is that you're not just an author, you're also the publisher, the marketer, like the bit, like you are doing literally everything. And yes, having a great book is probably arguably the obvious number one, like biggest step, but like you also need to have a knack in like social media management and everything else because you don't have anyone else backing you the way that a lot of traditionally published books do. Like you don't have the editors, you don't have the cover designers, you don't have, you know, that access to those resources that books that are being traditionally published do. And it's a lot of work.
It really is. Like it's incredible, impressive work to be
Yeah.
able to do that.
Well, and it's I I haven't seen it too much, but I do see the discourse about it every now and then about how indie published books are like tagged as like lower quality. But I think that it's easy for readers to forget that they literally are doing everything. And a lot of us have other jobs, are trying to have social lives, like are trying to balance 800 other things. And so we just are doing what we can with what we have. And I obviously think that like a good book is a good book and it's the story's going to sell itself depending
Hmm.
on, you know, what the audience is looking for. But yeah, just giving indie authors a little bit of grace. And the weird argument that like, oh, indie books aren't good books or indie books are like real books. I think fortunately because so many authors are now indie publishing, we are shying away from that argument a lot, but I still think that it's going to take a little bit more time to like fully accept that.
Yeah, that is the unfortunate part, is there's always going to be stupid people that can't see outside this right here. So, but I completely, I completely agree is that more people need to realize how much is on the self-published author. Just from my very, very minuscule experience of doing it.
Hey, minuscule experience is still experience. Like you've still done
Yep, got my butt kicked. I ran away.
it. No, you didn't.
Meh. But I, having known that experience, it's very impressive to see like how successful you've been in making it happen. And so, no, I see you, and I know a lot of other authors and readers do see you, but I completely agree that more people need to see how much is on the plate of a self-published author.
No.
All right. Have there been any oops moments along the way, typo disasters, formatting fails, or last minute panic moments?
Luckily, I mean, I feel like a lot of people give themselves like a grace period. Fortunately, like I'm still, as we're recording this, I'm still about a few weeks out from publishing date. So luckily, no. Fingers crossed it stays no. I have had like a couple, I did have an ARC reader just point out like a couple little typos and like, thank God still in the stage where like I can go in and finish those. I feel
Hmm.
like when you're indie publishing, especially if you give yourself enough of a buffer, like I reread the draft before I sent it to ARC readers, and I'm going to reread it again before I publish it, just so that I can have as many eyes on it as much as possible before it goes out, so that I can hopefully avoid this.
Hmm.
So far,
I
so
totally
good.
agree.
So far, so
Good.
good. Fingers crossed. If you see
You
it,
do
don't. If you see it, don't tell me. I don't want to know.
valid.
I don't want to cry. At least after release date. If you see it before release date, okay. But after release date, just shh. I don't want to know. Ignorance is bliss.
Well, you know what you have to tell yourself is even with traditional publishers and that many times it's going through different many eyes, there are still typos. I see typos all the time in books.
Oh,
So,
it happens constantly. And that,
yeah.
I honestly feel so good when I see it. I'm like, okay, good. It's not just me. Because it's bound to happen. It's just like the name
Hmm.
of the game. Like, you just accept it. You know, no matter how many eyes you have on it, like, things go unnoticed and like it is what it is. It's not a huge
Hmm.
deal. You just accept it and you move on.
Exactly. Exactly. So it'll be great. I did want to ask, I saw you got your proof.
I
Um,
did.
is it gorgeous? It looks
Oh my God, I
gorgeous.
love it. I love it. It's so vibrant, it's so colorful. Like it feels very much like a 2000s like rom-com like movie poster, which is exactly what I was going for. Like I just wanted it to feel like New York. I wanted it to
Hmm.
feel like like the blues and the pinks, like I just wanted it to be like the epitome of romantic and just playful. And I think it, like my cover designer just like knocked it out of the park. I love it.
Absolutely. It's so, so pretty. And my favorite was seeing everybody's comments of, oh, it's floppy.
Okay, you know what's so funny? Because like that was a genuine concern of mine because I feel like when you are self-publishing, especially if you're like doing it through KDP, like and doing it through Amazon, like you have no idea. And it's
Hmm.
so funny the decisions that you have to make when you're like uploading your file and trying to decide. And I remember even like I was sitting on threads and someone had posted something that was like, indie authors, for the love of God, please choose cream paper. And in my head, I'm thinking like, what? Like that's not even a thing that like I had thought about. And then like I'm uploading it and you have the option to choose between like the white and the cream. And I was like, oh, like yeah, no, that does make a lot of sense. And I did cream and I flipped open it. I was like, oh my God, this looks so much better than like what I was expecting. And like it's so floppy. And I was annotating it today and like just like bending it. And like I was like, okay, no, this feels like a real book. It's actually because it is. But like
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Oh, I love that. I'm so excited. I forgot you hadn't released a pre-order date yet. And so I was like on Amazon. I'm like, what? Where is it? Where is it? Like,
Okay.
what? Kind of?
Well, this is another thing that like I didn't know about. When you are going through Amazon, you can't do pre-order for paperback, which I didn't know. Unless like someone is from my research, I have not found a way to do pre-orders for paperback for KDP.
I'm trying to remember if I did.
And I like Googled it and everyone's like, yeah, no, it's like they don't, you just like can't. And I was like, that seems really bizarre. I
That's annoying.
because well, and I got so excited too because like I had been waiting for the for with my cover artist because we had obviously gotten it's a lot easier when you have just the front of the cover to upload like the ebook and everything. So
Hmm.
we had that up and running and we were just waiting on like final things because you have to get dimensions very specific for like the cover and everything. So I was just waiting on that. And so then when I uploaded it, I was like stoked. I was like, oh my God, yes. Now I can offer pre orders because I've had a lot of people asking me, like, hey, can we pre order? And I like uploaded it and I was like feeling so good. I was like, yeah, it's going to go up for pre order literally as soon as this is done processing. And then sure enough, it's just like not an option. And I was like, oh, okay. And like people are asking me, they're like, is it going to come out in paperback? I'm like, yeah, I just don't. Amazon apparently just is like isn't showcasing the paperback option because you can't pre-order it. It's I don't know.
That's so annoying. Huh.
I'm just like, okay, well, I guess I'll see you guys all on March 18th. Please just go buy a day of.
I'll do it. I will do it. I will be there. Nearly knocked everything off. Okay. So speaking of final cover and getting everything ready for pre-order or just ordering, how did you feel when you first saw the final cover?
I mean, I loved it. It was
Yeah.
everything that I could ask for. Like, I put together a really, 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 really rough mock-up in Canva, and I basically just like gave it to my cover designer, and I'm like, this, but like 10 times better, please and thank you. And he did great.
He
It
he
was,
delivered.
he delivered. Thank God, because if I had to do that myself, it would not be even remotely half as cute, and people would be like, I don't want that thing on my shelf.
Whatever. I just want your words, but I'm happy there's a really cute cover with it.
Here's the thing. Again, I've been a reader my entire life. So like I am absolutely like a judge a book by its cover kind of girl. And I hate to say it, but like we all are. You can pretend that we're not, but like we all are. So
Yes.
I needed it to have a good cover because I just needed like people to be drawn to it because I know how minds work, including my own.
Hmm.
So I'm so happy with it. Like
Good.
it's perfect.
Good. And this is why you're meant for self-publishing because you are on the ball. You know what to do.
I try.
If you could go back and give pre-publishing Riley some advice, what would it be?
I feel like my biggest piece of advice to myself would be to like slow down and appreciate every step along the way, which I've tried to do, but I feel like when you finish the first draft and then you go into editing and everything, like you're tunnel visioned on I want this book out in the world, like I have one focus and one focus only, and it's to publish this. But like finishing the first draft, that's a big deal. Editing it, it's a big deal. Like coming up with the cover, it's a big deal. Like there are so many big steps that don't necessarily feel like big steps. And so I think it's just, I would say slow down, enjoy the process, like enjoy every step along the way. And I also think too, like it's important to remember that like there is no one size fits all kind of mold when it comes to self-publishing. And I think because of social media and like base kind of what we were talking about earlier, like you see those big names, like you see the one-offs like Lila Sage that, you know, she indie published the one book and then boom, now has a massive career. And that's not to say that it doesn't happen, but like don't if it doesn't, don't let comparison be the theft of joy and enjoy your journey and every step that takes place. Like your journey is going to unfold exactly how it's supposed to, and just enjoy the crazy ride.
That's perfect advice. And I won't lie, it's advice I needed right now. So,
It's just so easy to get caught. It's so easy to get caught up, especially with social media. Like I feel obviously social media is like a blessing and a curse, but I feel like it's a blessing in that like you get to see so many authors chasing their dreams, but then you also see those same authors like getting six-figure book deals for their debut, and you're kind of just sitting here like, hello. Like it's just so easy to compare when like it's just everyone's journey is so completely different, and you just have to like lean into it and do everything you can and do your best. And like I'm a firm believer that the it's gonna work out exactly the way that it's gonna work out, even if it requires some patience. I feel like you sign up for that when you decide to be an author, whether you like it or not.
that.
If you don't have some, it's sure gonna teach you.
Oh, yeah. Do you see my eye twitching? Yeah,
I know you know.
I know.
Uh,
Okay. We've made it to more of the fun rapid fire questions, okay?
do it.
Are there any out of pocket genres you would like to try your hand at in writing in the future? So like out of pocket in regards to it's not something you've done or have thought of doing career wise.
So I mean, I guess this like kind of applies. I'm one of those people when like I'm reading something, I want to write it. So like when I was heavy in my fantasy era, I hardcore wanted to write a fantasy. Um, so I always dabbled with that idea. But at the time, this is before the New York Charm was even like remotely written. I had written like 2 chapters at that point.
Hmm.
Every time I would go to sit down and write, my brain would just like, it would not work with me. It was like mush. I couldn't think of a single thing to put on on the paper. And I just took that as a sign that fantasy is not meant for me right now. However, never say never.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. I'm looking forward to one day seeing a fantasy book by.
Either fantasy or like magical realism. I think magical realism would be a lot of fun too.
Oh yes.
Because I think you can
It,
blend some of the like fantasy like elements with like the contemporary romance elements that I'm already writing. So it would be like a beautiful blend of the two, which I think would be a lot of fun.
oh, I bet you'd kill it at that.
We'll see.
Okay. What is your ultimate comfort book or guilty pleasure read?
This is like asking me who my favorite child is.
I know.
Um, Probably literally anything by Emily Henry. Just her as a whole. Like I have read everything she's put out. I've already reread everything she's put out, and I will probably reread it again.
That is a good one. She is, you know what? I haven't read all her books, but from the few I've read, I
Wait,
love them.
which ones have you read?
Uh, funny story, beach
Great.
read.
Okay.
Oh, that's it.
Oh my gosh, you just cut out. I couldn't hear you.
I said, oh, that's it.
Okay, well, I'm going to give you some homework because there's a lot more. Can you see this shelf right here? You can't see it, but
I
everyone else
can't.
can see it. Well, everyone else can see it. I've got my Emily Henry shelf right here. And I my favorite, I think, of hers is Happy Place. It's
Okay.
actually one of the few that I have not reread, so that could change. But like her stuff is just so well done, and I feel like
Hmm.
she does such an incredible job of blending like a love story and like very complex characters. Like, and you get such a perfect mix of the two where each character has like their own side stories, their own like in-depth backgrounds, but like you're still rooting for them, and
Hmm.
she's just everything she does is like perfection, and I will be eating it up. Like it's I love her to death.
No, I love that. She is awesome. See, she's so good that her two books, it made me think I've read like millions from her.
Well, you need to start reading Millions from her.
I do, because I love her. I don't know why I haven't, but we'll be getting on that. Okay, favorite trope to read or write in.
The problem is I love it all. So, in
Hmm.
terms of reading, I would say, I mean, I love enemies to lovers. I love like loath to love. Like I love the banter, the tension. Um, in terms of like writing, the problem is I do love it all. So like I want to try my hand at everything. Like I would love to write a cowboy romance. I would love to write single dad, which might be on the horizon. Um I would love to write like I don't the only ones honestly there's not really a trope I don't like at this point. Like
Hmm.
I would love to write something super toxic. Like I love like Magnolia Park's The Favorites, like that super toxic like where you are just like so pissed off at every character and it like you can't stop rooting for them. I would love to write one of those.
Those are the best.
They're so good. Like it just it's so interesting to me that authors capture an audience enough to be like, I have never hated someone more, and yet I'm rooting for them. And that like juxtaposition is just chef's kiss, and I want to nail it at some point in my writing career.
Oh, you will. You will. That's a good one. Okay, what is next for you? Any teasers about future projects?
I am working on book two right now. It is hopefully, if all goes according to plan, going to be out this fall. I won't name names, but it is going to follow a certain B and a certain S. Um, and it is fake dating, loath to love, lots of tension. It is very different than book one. It's a lot more like playful and like tension filled and angsty, whereas I feel like book one is very, warm hearted and sweet.
Hmm.
I know for a fact there will be at least three in the series. There
Okay.
may be four. It's entirely dependent on how the characters play out in my mind, honestly. Like there
Hmm.
is a possibility for four, depending on how I want the character's storyline to play out. But there will be at least three. And the third
All right.
I'm hoping book three is out next like spring summer. So
You're
we're
feeding
trying
us.
we're trying to just put them out here.
No, that's so awesome. Go you. Like, you're killing it. I am just so excited for you.
Thank you.
Of course. Where can listeners find you and your book once it's released?
Yep. So I am on Instagram and TikTok. My handle is author Riley Winters. And as of right now, you can find me on Amazon, The New York Charm. It'll be ebook and paperback, and it'll be on Kindle Unlimited. And then hopefully from there, we'll get put in bookstores. But, slow and steady wins the race. But that's where you can definitely find me for the time being.
Ah, I'm so excited for you, Riley. This is so fun, especially having been friends with you online before like book stuff really started coming out, and now seeing you actually get ready to put it out there. It's just so awesome. You're killing it. You're an inspiration.
Oh
So,
my gosh, thank you so
so
much.
excited.
You're the
Of
inspiration here too. Literally, miss, I sit here and I write like 5,000 words a day.
course.
Like every time you post like a writing update, I'm like, oh, okay, like I'm just gonna go cry myself in a corner.
Stop. It's only because I have nothing else going for me right now.
Literally says like 5 minutes ago, comparison is the theft of joy. And then literally is like, actually, well, Taryn's just kicking my butt. So I suck at everything that I do.
Don't we all do it? We preach and then we don't listen to
I
what we
know.
say.
I know. It's just so easy.
It is. It is. But I'd love to keep chatting with you. I'm going to go ahead and close out. But again, thank you so much. Everyone, go pick up the New York Charm. It is just so darling. Riley is amazing. And I'm so, so excited for release date. But thank you all for being here. And we'll see you next Thursday on the Wannabe Author.
Thank
Bye.
you. Woo!